Listen. Listen closely to the whisper of the warm wind sweeping the ancient dust of the Great Rift Valley. Close your eyes for a moment and smell the dry earth, the unmistakable scent of the awakening African savanna. We are in Tanzania, on the sacred alkaline shores of Lake Eyasi. It is here, under the imposing shadow of ancient baobabs, that time seems to have paused, making a silent agreement with the earth. Today, we will walk side by side with the first inhabitants of this world. We will breathe the same air, feel the same sun, and share the vital essence of the Hadzabe tribe, one of the last true hunter-gatherer tribes on our planet. People who do not plant, people who do not harvest what nature herself has not sown, people who do not accumulate. They live in the now, and it is to this now that I take you. The early morning still clothes the sky in a mantle of bright stars. A river of diamonds we know as the Milky Way, but which to them is the campfire of the ancestors. The morning air is surprisingly cold. The first to wake are the elders. The silence of the dawn is broken by a rhythmic, dry, and ancient sound. It is the sound of friction. Now, we will approach one of the small camps, made of simple shelters of dry branches and interwoven grass, temporary structures that embrace the earth and leave no scars upon it. Observe the calloused hands, mapped by decades of survival. One of the elders vigorously spins a hard wooden stick, extracted from a specific bush, on a softer wooden base where a small notch has been made. He uses the palms of his hands in a rapid downward motion, repeating the process without showing fatigue. We can almost feel the tension and the heat building up. A small, thin, gray smoke begins to rise. It is a magical moment. The friction generates a tiny ember, fragile as a newborn. With a delicacy that contrasts with the harshness of the environment, he transfers this ember to a nest of dry grass and crushed baboon dung. He blows. He blows with the breath of life itself. And then, the fire is born. The flames dance, illuminating faces marked by calm smiles and deep eyes. The smell of acacia smoke fills the camp. The day has officially begun. We sit around this newborn fire. Voices begin to echo, and what fascinating voices they are. The Hadzabe language is a symphony of its own. It is an isolated language, punctuated by vibrant rhythmic tongue clicks, sounds that seem to imitate the noises of the savanna itself. The snapping of a branch, the tapping of a bird's beak, the falling of a water drop. It is a living communication that flows as they warm themselves in the pale light of dawn. There is no rush. There are no clocks dictating the rhythm of their heartbeats. The sun peaks over the horizon, painting the sky in burning oranges and deep purples, and only then does the camp begin to move. Preparation for the day is organic. There are no bosses giving orders, no rigid hierarchy. Hadzabe society is profoundly egalitarian. Each individual knows their role in the delicate balance of survival. Now, we will follow the natural division of tasks. The men gather in a corner of the camp. They are the hunters. Their bodies are lean, muscular, and agile, sculpted by thousands of miles of walking through the savanna. They begin to inspect their bows. These bows are extensions of their own arms, made from flexible, sturdy branches of local bushes, strung with animal sinew or incredibly strong strips of leather. They test the tension, listening to the hum of the string. It is a sound of death for the prey, but of life for the tribe. At the same time, the arrows are examined with almost reverential care. Some arrows have sharp wooden tips, meant for small birds and rodents. Others have metal tips, forged by neighboring tribes and obtained through barter. But the true secret, the real weapon of the Hadzabe hunter, is the poison. They extract a toxic sap from a specific desert plant, the desert rose, boiling it down into a dark, lethal paste. With extreme caution, they apply this paste just behind the arrowhead. A scratch is enough to bring down a large mammal, like an impala or even a kudu, after a few hours of tracking. While the men prepare for the hunt, the women organize for gathering, and it is here that the true sustenance of the tribe lies. We often focus on the glory of the hunt, but it is the women who ensure day after day that no one goes to sleep hungry. They grab their digging sticks, sturdy pieces of wood with fire-hardened tips, and their hand-woven baskets made of flexible plant fibers. Some carry babies tied to their backs with soft dik-dik skins, lulled by the steady rhythm of their mother's walk. Now, we will split up to experience the fullness of this day. First, let's follow the silent footsteps of the hunters. The sun is higher now, and heat begins to radiate from the dry earth. The men walk in a loose formation, conversing in whispers and muffled clicks, but their eyes never stop moving. They aren't just looking, they are reading. The savannah is an open book to a Hadzabe. A broken twig, an overturned leaf, a subtle mark in the dust, everything tells a story. They crouch and examine a footprint. With their fingertips, they feel the edge of the mark in the soil. "Made this morning," one of them signals. "A small antelope." They move with the grace of felines. Their steps are light, calculating where each foot lands to avoid the slightest crunch of dry leaves. The hunt can last for hours. Sweat runs down their faces, but their concentration is unwavering. Suddenly, a sound changes the course of the expedition. It is a peculiar, insistent, almost demanding bird call. The lead hunter smiles and replies with a melodious whistle. We are witnessing one of nature's most incredible partnerships, the alliance between humans and the honey-guide bird. The little bird flies from tree to tree, chirping, making sure the hunters are following, and they follow. The bird knows where the wild bee's hive is, but cannot break through the wood to reach the honey. The humans have the tools and the fire, but they need the bird to find the hidden treasure in the vastness of the valley. After a long walk through a maze of thorny bushes, the bird lands on a massive baobab tree, silencing its song. The message is clear. The gold is here. We watch as the magic of survival unfolds. One of the hunters, with gravity-defying agility, begins to climb the smooth, colossal trunk of the baobab, using small wooden pegs driven into the bark as steps. Down below, another hunter prepares a torch of green branches and damp grass. Smoke. That is the key. The torch is passed up. The hunter high above introduces the smoke into the tree's hollow. The bees, confused and lethargic, retreat. With bare hands, ignoring the few inevitable stings, he plunges his arm into the dark hollow of the tree and pulls out whole chunks of honeycomb dripping with dark, deeply aromatic, golden honey. It is a high-energy food, the sweet taste of victory. A portion of the honeycomb is left behind on the ground, a fair and honorable payment to the little honey-guide bird that made all this possible. Nature gives, and they give back. While the men savor the first honeycomb, we cross the savannah to find the women and children. The scene here is one of hard work, but permeated with laughter, singing, and deep communion. They walk under the unforgiving sun, knowing every bush, every poisonous root, and every nutritious plant. One of the elder women stops abruptly and points to a creeping vine with tiny, seemingly insignificant leaves trailing across the sandy soil. To an untrained eye, it is just weeds. To her, it is the sign of an underground feast. She kneels on the red earth and begins using her digging stick. The movement is strong, rhythmic. She pierces the ground, levers the dirt, and scoops out the loose sand with her hands. It is exhausting work. After digging nearly half a meter deep, the reward is revealed. Massive, juicy tubers hidden in the bowels of the earth to protect themselves from the drought. These tubers are rich in water and starch, the foundation of the Hadzabe diet during difficult months. The women fill their baskets with these precious roots. Further on, the group encounters a true blessing of the African landscape. A fruiting baobab tree, the tree of life. The baobab fruits, with their hard, velvety shells, sway high in the branches. Using stones or heavy sticks, they knock down dozens of them. The inside of the fruit reveals seeds covered in a white, powdery pulp. This pulp has a citrusy flavor, almost like a sweet lemon, and is an absolute bomb of vitamin C and nutrients. The children run around, breaking the fruits open on rocks and joyfully sucking the pulp, the white powder smudging their noses and cheeks. The afternoon begins to fade, painting the Rift Valley sky in pastel tones. The shadows of the great baobabs stretch across the dusty ground. It is time to return. Both the gathering group and the hunting party begin to retrace their steps toward the camp. Today was a good day. The men, besides the honey, managed to shoot some guinea fowl and a small dik-dik with their accurate arrows. The women bring back baskets overflowing with tubers, baobab fruits, and small sweet berries picked along the way. When the two groups reunite at the settlement, the energy shifts. It is a quiet celebration of life. There are no refrigerators, no pantries to store food for next week. What the earth gave today will be consumed today. This is the Hadzabe philosophy, to trust that tomorrow will bring its own provisions. Now, my friends, we will prepare for the most vital moment of the day, the preparation of the great communal meal. Observe the deep connection to nature even in the way the food is served. The Hadzabe have no ceramic plates, no tables, no polished metal pots. Everything comes from the earth and returns to it. The central focus tonight is a tradition of purity and simplicity. Today, we are going to prepare the wild food on clean leaves. The younger women step slightly away from the camp, walking to a grove of bushes with broad, thick leaves, known to have no toxins and to retain their freshness even after being plucked. With quick, careful movements, they select the largest, most vibrant and intact leaves. Back at the center of the camp, these fresh leaves, a deep and brilliant green, are shaken and cleaned of any dust by gently patting them against their own bodies, or wiping their palms over the smooth surface. They are laid out on the ground around the campfire that is now a mountain of glowing red embers. These leaves form an organic carpet, a beautiful natural platter offering a wonderful color contrast against the dusty brown of the camp. It is the purest table we could ever conceive. The preparation of the food is rustic and fascinating. The men handle the meat. The dik-dik and the birds are gutted with small rustic blades or sharp stone flakes. There are no sophisticated spices. There is no sea salt, no pepper, no olive oil. The seasoning is the wild taste of life itself. The pieces of meat are thrown directly onto the live coals. No grills. The sound of fat sizzling and dripping into the fire raises a column of aromatic smoke that makes the mouth water. The meat sears quickly on the outside, sealing the natural juices inside. They turn the pieces using long branches, handling the fire with an intimacy that we, in the modern world, have long forgotten. While the meat roasts in the intense heat, the women prepare the side dishes. The hard, earthy tubers are not boiled in water. Instead, they are buried in the hot ashes at the edge of the fire. The slow heat roasts the inside of the tuber, softening the tough flesh until it becomes tender and comforting, much like a sweet potato baked in a clay oven. At the same time, a wise old woman of the tribe prepares the drink. She takes the powdery pulp of the baobab fruits and mixes it with fresh water gathered earlier from a shallow stream nearby. She uses her hands to vigorously mash and mix, dissolving the powder into the water until she creates a milky, frothy, and incredibly refreshing drink, rich in vital minerals to rehydrate bodies after an exhausting day under the African sun. And then, the culminating moment. The meat is ready. With bare hands that seem immune to the heat, the men pull the ribs and roasted pieces from the ashes. They roughly beat the meat against branches to remove the excess charcoal and dust. And then, the banquet is served. We see the hot, juicy, steaming meat gently placed upon the bed of clean green leaves laid out on the ground. The roasted tubers are pulled from the ashes, peeled with thick fingernails to reveal a white, steaming interior, and are also placed on the leaves. On another separate leaf, a mountain of golden honeycomb shines under the orange light of the flames. The visual composition is stunning. The roasted brown of the hunted meat, the white of the root dug from the earth, the gold of the honey stolen from the bees, all resting on the emerald green of the fresh leaves. It is a masterpiece of survival. At this moment, individuality disappears completely. The I dissolves into the we. The entire tribe sits around this table of sacred leaves. The food does not belong to the one who hunted the animal, nor to the one who dug the tuber. The food belongs to everyone. The wild meal is shared with laughter and intense conversations in the clicking language that now fills the night. Pieces of meat are cut with rudimentary knives and handed first to the young children and the elders. Eager hands reach for the honeycombs, sucking the sweet wax and spitting the residue into the fire, making the flames crackle even higher with the melted sugar. Savor this image with us. taste the primitive flavor, the purest human instinct satisfied. Eating, sitting on the earth. Eating the earth, feeling the texture of the soft leaf beneath fingers stained with ash and fat. There is no waste. Even the bones are broken open to extract the rich, nutritious marrow. This meal is not just calories, it is communion. It is the celebration of another day in which they have conquered the barrenness of the world and continue to exist, exactly as their ancestors did tens of thousands of years ago. Night falls like a dark velvet curtain over Lake Iasi. The heat of the fire is now essential, not just for cooking, but to keep the biting cold of the African night at bay, and, in doing so, to keep leopards and hyenas at a distance, respecting the borders of the light. The meal has ended. The large leaves, which served as perfect plates, are now empty, stained with meat juice and baobab powder. They are simply swept aside to dry and return to the soil as fertilizer for the next rainy season, a flawless recycling invented before the word even existed. With full bellies, the spirit of the tribe rises. It is the time for the sacred and the profane to meet in the dust. We hear the first stomping of feet. The men begin to chant in deep, vibrant tones, voices that seem to resonate from the center of the earth. The women reply in a loud, rhythmic chorus, clapping dry hands that mimic the sound of breaking branches. The dance begins. They form a circle around the fire. Their lean, strong bodies sway. They stomp hard on the earth, kicking up small clouds of dust that dance through the smoke illuminated by the flames. The dance is the history of their people. Some nights they reenact the day's hunt, mimicking the agile movements of the antelope and the stealthy posture of the hunter. Other nights they sing to ask the ancient spirits to bring plentiful rains and protect the roots from the dryness. To the outside observer, it is a spectacle of hypnotic beauty. To them, it is the thread that sews their community together. Laughter flows freely. Children imitate their parents' steps until they fall asleep on the animal skins, scattered on the ground, nestled together seeking body heat. And we, sitting here under this starry sky, cannot help but feel a pang of deep reflection, almost a melancholic envy. Look at them. They have no bills to pay tomorrow. They do not suffer from anxiety over the distant future. They do not hold on to useless regrets of the past. If the sun has risen, and there is food on the green leaves, life is absolutely perfect. They have mastered the art of living in the present with an expertise that modern society has traded for the clock and the planner. The weight they carry is only the physical weight of the bow, the arrow, and the digging stick. Their souls seem to float as lightly as the smoke from their campfire. The day in the Hadzabe tribe comes to an end. Gradually, the voices die down. The chants turn into sleepy murmurs, punctuated by occasional tongue clicks in the darkness. The fire is fed with thicker logs, so it burns slowly until dawn, standing guard while the tribe rests. Today we followed the practical survival routine of the Hadzabe. We saw the physical effort required to dig tubers in the dry earth, the technique used to extract honey from baobab trees. And at the end of the day, we gathered around the fire to consume the earned calories. The roasted meat and vegetables were served in a utilitarian way, straight onto broad, clean leaves collected from nearby bushes. This is daily life in the Great Rift Valley, a routine of extreme physical demand and continuous adaptation to the environment. Life here does not allow for a waste of energy or resources. To know the way of life of the Hadzabe is to observe in practice an efficient hunting and gathering model. It is to understand how this group continues to extract from the savanna exactly what they need for today, without the conveniences of modern technology. The night now fully embraces the camp. Only the sound of the wind in the branches of the ancient trees and the occasional crackle of firewood break the silence. They sleep. Tomorrow, when the sun once again paints the horizon of Iasi, the cycle will begin anew, perfect as it has always been. And we leave here richer, not with possessions, but with the pure understanding of what it truly means to live in the essence of our own humanity. Good night, Savannah. Good night, eternal people of the earth.